Welcome to Bridging Borders, the podcast where we try to bridge the gap between cultures through insightful conversations.
Together, we explore diverse topics from productivity to language learning, all the while helping you improve your English skills.
Hi everyone. Just before you start listening to this episode, I just want to say that after we finished recording, I realized that the microphone I was using wasn't really working properly, and I had a bit of a technical issue. So this episode might be a little bit quieter than normal, and it might be worth wearing headphones, but hopefully it's all okay. So sorry about that, and thank you for tuning in.
Hey Sam, how are you doing today?
Hey Veronica, Happy New Year. I'm pretty good, apart from the fact that I'm ill for the third time in about 5 weeks. So I'm a little bit annoyed about that, but other than that, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing great. I'm really sad to hear that, to be honest, because a lot of people are getting sick right now, I feel like. And the same thing was true for December. A lot of people were getting sick like right before Christmas or New Year's. At least a lot of my relatives. And I actually got a little bit sick too in December and I was like, no, I'm not going to allow myself to get more sick. I have to get better fast.
Yeah, me and my girlfriend watched a TV series about young people joining the British Army, and they kept using this phrase "positive mental attitude" in it. So when I got ill for the third time, I text my girlfriend saying I'm gonna positive mental attitude this away, but I think I failed.
Oh, yeah. Well, sometimes it helps, but sometimes, I mean, there's just nothing you can do. You just have to wait and, help yourself get better. But of course, thinking positively helps a lot, right? If you like every single day you wake up and you're like, I'm sick. Oh no, like that's the end of the world. I don't think it's great and it's going to help you a lot. But if you wake up, you're like, I'm going to, I don't know, I'm going to win. I'm in control. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a psychological aspect to illness, but yeah, in this case, I wasn't able to beat it. So unfortunately, the start of the year has been a bit of a downer for me because I have not been able to do the things that I would have liked to do.
Yeah, but hopefully you're going to feel better soon. And today we're going to be talking about a very interesting topic, which is setting New Year's resolutions. So, Sam, when you think about this expression, New Year's resolutions, what do you usually think about?
I think about people starting habits that they don't continue, to be honest, and I think about how busy the gym is in January, how annoying that is. But no, in reality, it's when people kind of think about their lives and what they perhaps want to change about their lives. So they might want to start doing something new. So they might say, okay, I want to get fit this year, or I want to lose weight. I want to join the gym. Some people use it as a way to stop doing something. So they say, my New Year's resolution is to stop smoking, for example. So I think it's about a period of reflection, especially perhaps over the last year. So in this case, it would be 2023, and then thinking about what they want to change or do in the following year. What about you?
Yes, I agree with you. I think this part that you mentioned about reflection is a big part too, because oftentimes so many people forget that when you set your like new goals or New Year's resolutions, you kind of also have to think about your past year. Like, what did you accomplish? Like, what were the highlights from the past year of my life? Because when you start thinking about like first, this is at least what I like to do. First, I like to ask myself this question like, what are the highlights from the past year of my life? Because this helps me get into this like positive mood. Because in reality, when you think about your past year, like 2023 in this case, there's so many things you did and so many things you achieved. And oftentimes, if we just focus on our future goals, we completely ignore or forget everything we achieved, the year before.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you people have their goals right if their New Year's resolutions perhaps are to continue the things that they were doing well in the last year. So, for example, I was quite lucky this year because I was really consistent with exercise, and that's just one of my. It's not really. Do you think that's a resolution if it's just to continue doing what I did last year?
Yes, I think so. Because while preparing for this episode, I watched this amazing YouTube video by Mel Robbins, and there she shared that actually it should be a part of your New Year resolutions. Like, you want to stop doing something, you want to continue doing something, or you want to start doing something. Because more often than not, we're so focused on, oh, okay, what do I want to start doing? Or maybe what do I want to stop doing, right? Maybe like a bad habit. But it's so important to ask yourself this question: what are the things that I want to continue doing? Maybe like I did something, I started a new habit in 2023 and I really just want to continue. Like, I don't want to do better or be greater. I just want to do the exact same thing and I'm going to be happy.
So, what were some of the things that you did last year that you would like to continue into 2024?
I think definitely my Spanish learning. I feel like 2023 for me was very successful in terms of how I was learning Spanish. I was extremely consistent, and most importantly, I was happy. Like, it didn't feel like a chore. I feel like in 2023, I managed to make it my habit. Like, it's a part of my life. Not even like my habit, but it's a part of my life. Like, I am now a person who can speak Spanish, so I need to speak it more. I need to improve it. I need to work on it, and I love it. Like, I have found so many resources right now that I love using, because every single day I'm not doing the exact same thing. Because for me, it gets boring very quickly. Like, I cannot do the exact same thing every day when it comes to language learning. So sometimes I read, sometimes I watch YouTube videos, sometimes I listen to a podcast. So it all depends, but that's definitely something that I want to continue doing in 2024. What about you?
Yeah, I think some of the I mentioned exercise, so I'd like to continue doing that. And I'm kind of changing my lifestyle a little bit next year because I'm going to be moving in with my girlfriend, and I'm going to be renting an office for the day. So usually I work from home, and I've been living kind of a bit at my parents this year to save some money, and also at my girlfriend sometimes. And it's like I've lacked a bit of routine because 2 weeks I'm here, 2 weeks I'm there, and it's hard to kind of get into a routine in terms of not really exercise because I have a gym in Manchester, I have a gym in my hometown, so it was quite easy to do that, and you can run anywhere, obviously. But I'm looking forward to kind of having a bit more stability in terms of geographical location, and there's a really nice gym right next to where my office is, so hopefully it'll be easy to continue that routine of going to the gym and also running. But now that I'll be in Manchester, I'll be able to play football a bit more. So the things that I did well last year was a lot of consistent exercise. It's been really annoying because I've hardly exercised in December because of my illness. I also got injured. It was also really snowy at one stage, so I wasn't able to run outside. And I've got like a tracker on my Apple Watch, and it tells you your VO2 max, which is I think the biggest indicator of how perhaps healthy you are, or how long you're going to live. And it's basically just your general cardiovascular endurance, and it's gone down so much. I haven't looked at it for the whole December, and I looked at it like a few days ago, and I was like, oh no, all this year I've been so consistent, and then yeah, it's all gone backwards. And I went to the gym for the first time uh, on Saturday, and I felt so weak, and I thought, oh no, the whole year I've spent being consistent, and now it feels like I've taken 3 steps back. But hopefully, it doesn't take me a whole year to get to the place that I got to maybe the end of November.
Yeah, for sure. I think what a lot of people maybe forget or like don't want to think about is that this is normal. Like, what you were just describing to me is completely normal. And what I just shared about my Spanish learning, yes, I said it was very consistent. I was trying to be very consistent, and there were many days where I was consistent. But of course, there were some moments when I didn't study Spanish for a whole week. And I didn't feel proud of myself. But then it's so important to remind yourself that it's normal. It's a part of the process. You just start. You know, if you had this like weird time of maybe you were sick or maybe you weren't like practicing this thing for a long time, don't completely forget about it and say like, well, now I'm not going to go to the gym ever, or now I'm not going to learn Spanish or English or whatever it is you're doing ever. No, it's okay. You haven't practiced in like a week, a month, 2 months, but you can always do it again.
Yeah, that's why I like the little like trying to do a little bit. So like for example, if your goal is to meditate every day, it's probably better to meditate for 1 minute because that's really easy. Like maybe 10 minutes feels a little bit too much, or you're really busy, but you can do it for 1 minute, and that keeps the momentum going, doesn't it? So for someone like me, when I haven't done something for a while, it's harder for for me to start. So if I run, you know, 2 or 3 times a week for a month, the fifth week is going to be pretty easy for me to go running. But if I haven't ran in 4 weeks, for example, that fifth week, the motivation to go is going to be so much lower. So just doing small things just to continue the habit and the momentum is really useful for me. What I was going to ask you is, with your Spanish, your resolution, maybe one of your resolutions is to continue the work that you've done. But do you have a specific goal, like I want to be a B2 level or a C1 level, or is it more to do with the process? Like, I want to study 4 hours a week. Where do you put that the focus?
Yeah, this is a very good question because I think it's important to have this like very specific goal or like where you would like to be. I think for me with Spanish, just because I don't want to take any like international tests, like I don't need to actually do that. I'm not doing it for work. For me, this goal, or I would say it's like a little bit more, I just want to feel confident. So I know that I know how it makes me feel when I speak Spanish. And I know that like by the end of 2024, I can kind of judge if I were able to achieve this goal. Maybe for some of you listening or watching this episode, you'll be like, yeah, but like I want to be confident is not very like specific, right? And you have to set specific goals. For me, it is specific because I know how I feel right now when I speak Spanish to people, and I know where I would like to be. So, probably very similar to how I feel when I speak English, because that's exactly the same thing for me. Like with English, I don't want to take an international test because I already took IELTS and TOEFL in the past, and like I don't need to do that. So, I just want to improve certain aspects of my language learning, but that's it. I don't have anything like super specific in terms of Spanish. But I have also seen this very interesting sentence that you can think about when setting your New Year's resolutions. I will do this by doing this, or I will achieve this by doing this. Because again, oftentimes we say, oh, I will, for example, let's take my example with Spanish. I will start feeling more confident when I speak Spanish by doing what? What exactly do I need to do to achieve this? So for me, it's I'm going to be listening to podcasts in Spanish every single day because for me, this is when I practice like habit stacking. I brush my teeth and I listen to a podcast, or I'm going to be having like weekly conversations with my teacher. So these are all the little steps that will get me closer to that goal of feeling confident when I speak Spanish.
So, what do you think are some good goals for people to set with language learning? So, someone could say, I want to be a B2 level, and I do that by practicing an hour a day. Do you think that's kind of specific and clear enough, or do you think you need to like put in the actual actions? So, maybe doing 10 minutes in my grammar book, speaking to a tutor 1 hour a week. Do you think it really needs to be specific of the actions, or can it be a bit more vague?
I will say, first of all, something that helped me a lot, but like any new goal that I want to set or anything I want to continue doing is first of all, like the first thing I do, the very first thing, and I ask myself why. Why do I want to achieve this goal? So let's say my goal is I want to become more confident when I speak Spanish. Why? Because that is the most important thing and that is your motivation. When you feel like you get sick, you feel lazy, I don't know, you don't have enough time, you always, maybe you can even write it down and then you always look at your why. For example, for you, maybe it can be like, I want to know that I'm healthy, right? Because like you have an Apple Watch and like you look at all of your trackers, and for you, your health is maybe like one of your priorities, or the most important thing for you is your health. So that is your why. And when you feel lazy, you're laying on your couch, you're like, oh, I have to go run right now, but I don't want to. But then you remind yourself why you actually have to do it is because health is extremely important for you. And laying on the couch watching TV is not going to get you closer to your goal of being more healthy. So for me is I think when I speak Spanish to people or English, a foreign language, let's say, for me this feeling of confidence means that I like our conversations happen at the exactly at the exact same level. It's basically because sometimes as a language learner you feel like the roles are not very equal. You feel like the native speaker is always kind of somewhere up there, like very high, and you're like so small and so little just because you don't feel confident enough and you don't know how to piece the words together and create a sentence. So for me, like I want to even it out. I want to feel like our roles are the same. We're just talking. I'm not like projecting a role on this person that they are my teacher, because unfortunately that's what a lot of people do. They expect some random stranger to be their teacher. And I get it. I mean, I feel like it's maybe because something that a lot of people talk about, like, oh, native speakers, they're kind, they will help you. Of course they will help you. They're not going to be like laughing and be like, oh, you don't know this word. But you shouldn't expect them to teach you, because you're interacting with them. Maybe you just want to build a friendly connection, you want to become friends. But expecting them to correct every single one of your mistakes, it's not their job. If you want someone to correct your mistakes while talking to you, you can get a teacher. So like it's something that I just recently discovered for myself, like always reminding yourself of the roles that people have in life or play in your life, and not projecting other roles on people who are not supposed to play that role.
Yeah, that's really interesting, especially the reason why you're doing something, and that kind of reminds me of the analogy of the carrot and the stick. There's two ways to motivate a horse. And I think one of the ways is to put a carrot in front of its face. Another one is to hit it with a stick, unfortunately. But I think the why is a great example of using the carrot, because you're kind of using a positive um, destination in the future to motivate yourself. However, I think I'm usually using the stick to motivate myself. So if I'm sitting on the sofa and I'm not running, I'm like just being overly self-critical, and this overly self-critical voice motivates me to go for the run or whatever I need to do.
hmm I think for some people it works, but I would say for me, I can't do it sustainably, because if I want to do it long term, it's not going to feel good if I constantly criticize myself, and this way I make myself do things. Yeah, I think it's also something that I believe I talked about on my YouTube channel. Instead of, or maybe even here, instead of saying like, oh, I want to like become a runner or I want to run, just become that person. Start doing the things that this person does. Let's say for me right now, my biggest resolution, or one of my biggest resolutions for 2024, is that I want to stop using my phone right after I wake up. Like, I actually want to just put my phone in my living room and go to bed in my bedroom, and like just not have it in my bedroom. It is so hard for me, so incredibly hard. It's just so hard. But I always remind myself, like, what kind of person do I want to be? I want to be a person who wakes up and like is not addicted to their phone, to be constantly on their phone. So if I want to be that person, I have to be this person right now. So I can't just wait and be like, oh, one day, one day in the future, I'm going to do it. No, this person who is not addicted to their phone is actually doing this every single day. So I have to do it every single day too.
Do you have an alarm clock, like an actual physical old alarm clock?
No, but I was thinking about it, but I have a voice assistant. So that's definitely going to help me. I just don't want to say this word because she might start talking to me. uh, but yeah, I think I was thinking about that too, because sometimes, maybe I need an alarm clock. Maybe I need to, like, when I wake up, I want to see what time it is. And that were all my excuses. Like, those were the excuses I was telling myself. I was like, yes, I need to see the time. I need like an alarm clock. But then I was like, okay, Veronica, there are things you can actually do. You can buy, as you said, like a physical one. You can use a voice assistant. Like, stop just using excuses and actually do it.
Yeah, it's just so hard not to go on your phone in bed, though, isn't it? And it's just so comfortable. I do it as well, and yeah, maybe that should be on my list of resolutions. In terms of the carrot and the stick with language learning, when you live in a different country like you do, when you live in Mexico and they speak Spanish there, I feel like using the kind of the opposite, or kind of the fear basis, is quite good for motivation as well. So those kind of uncomfortable experiences of when you're in an awkward situation out and about speaking a second language, like I had many times in Spain speaking Spanish, that for me was a motivator to improve my Spanish because, like, oh, that was horrible. I don't want that to happen again. I need to improve my Spanish. But I don't know how good that is long term because I never actually improved my Spanish that much. So maybe I need to use the carrot a little bit more.
It's something that only worked for me at the very beginning when I just moved to Mexico because I remember I was like, okay, I'm in Mexico now. I need to start learning Spanish. But then I would find myself in those situations, I would feel like I couldn't understand anything and I had to understand some things. And I don't know, I still wouldn't start learning Spanish. I would be like, well, let's use Google Translate, or well, let's try to use English. I don't know, it really like didn't work for me. Maybe sometimes like a few times I was like, okay, no, now I'm starting to learn Spanish because I don't want to feel like this anymore. I don't want to feel dumb. I don't want to feel like I don't understand anything. But then I feel like for me it's just not a very strong why. Just like I guess in the past my why was I want to be able to like go to a bank and understand everything. It doesn't excite me. I'm like, ew, I don't want to. Like it's not exciting. It's like a one-time interaction and I can use English or I can use Google Translate. I'll be fine. So it's very important to, I guess, come up with a very personal why. Something that excites you, something that every time you see it, you read it, you're like, yes, like this is my why. This is why I want to learn this language. This is why I want to do this.
Yeah, I think that's why so many people, well, a lot of my English students, a lot of them are wanting to improve their English because of they use English at work. So, for example, when I was living in Spain, I had the uncomfortable situations in Spanish. You would quite quickly forget them. And, like, after an hour or so, your brain has moved on, you've moved on, and it's until the next one you think, oh, I need to improve my Spanish again. But with work, it's almost like tied to their identity a bit more, isn't it? Like if they're not proficient enough in English or whatever language they're using, they may think that other people will judge them, or they're not as professional as they need to be, or their career will be not as successful as it could be because of this one aspect. So, yeah, I guess identity plays a part of it as well. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna start writing down some whys of my yeah, my goals and stuff, and see how that it changes things. Are you a person who kind of really puts emphasis on the start of the new year? Because I I remember ages ago when I was like, ooh, 15, 16 or something, I made a tweet saying, if you really cared about the changes you were going to make in the new year, you just do them now. And that was in like the start of December or something. And to an extent, it's true. Like if you really want to quit smoking, let's say, or you really want to start going to the gym, why would you wait until January to start that instead of starting in November or something? But this happens on the micro a little bit more as well. I don't know if you do this, but if I say I'm going to start doing a task, so let's say, in England right now it's 6:30, and I could say at 6:30 I'm going to start writing this essay. And if I miss it and it goes to like 6:32, I'm going to say, okay, I'll start at quarter to, or I'll start at 7. And I always want to kind of start at a very specific date. And for me, like Mondays, the first, like a new month and a new year, are kind of like this perfect opportunity to kind of start again. And I think it's a little bit because I'm a perfectionist and I like things to be really clean. So when I'm habit tracking, so for example, if I'm trying to meditate for 10 minutes a day, I'm doing like crossing the boxes out for every single day. I might do 7 days in a row, and I'm like, wow, this is great. Then I miss a day, and I'm like, oh, you know, I missed a day. It's not perfect. And then the motivation, or the I don't know, it must be the motivation, just drops significantly to continue. And I want to start again. I really want to just delete just remove the habit tracking system that I have in place, if that's kind of paper and pen or digitally, and just start again and try for it to be perfect again. So I think that's why I really like Mondays, the start of the new week, the start of the new month, and the start of the new year, because I'm like, wow, okay, new year, I'm going to be perfect this year, no mistakes. But it's a lot of pressure, and it never really works out. So
Yeah, it is a lot of pressure. I think I used to be like that in the past, but then I started asking myself this question: is being a perfectionist actually helping me to achieve what I want? And more often than not, the answer was no. It was not helping me at all, because, as you just said, I had the exact same experience. I would have a habit tracker, and I would start doing something. At first, it would look perfect, and then I would get sick, for example. I still remember this one, like right now thinking about it, I'm just like, wow, I cannot like believe I got so upset. I was in college. It was my first year. Like, I just got into college. I was excited. I was like, I'm going to study. I'm going to have good grades. Like, everything's going to be great. And then I would attend every single class. It was like, in Russia, the start of the school year is September. So it was like September, November. I attended every single class. I didn't like skip anything. Everything was perfect. You know, my streak was perfect. And then I got sick. It was like December. I really like, I got sick. I had a fever. Like, I couldn't go. And I got so upset that my streak was going to be over. Like, my attending all the classes streak. I was crying, like bawling in my room. And now I'm like, why, Veronica? Like, it is not worth it. But yeah, back then, sometimes you just need to live through those experiences and then learn from them and understand what is actually important for me. Like, now I understand that my health is my priority. I got sick. It is absolutely okay. It happens to everyone. So, yeah, my streak was destroyed. But then I completely changed my perspective, and everything really changed for me. But it was not a very easy process, I have to say, too. It is hard. It is not easy. You have to always remind yourself that it's okay. You know, like, I don't want to be that person who is always trying to be perfect. Because at one point, I also realized that I started comparing myself with other people and thinking that people who are more organized or people who are trying to be perfect are better than other people. And that was like a little sign for me that, oh, I have to stop. Like, I have to be accepting of other people. And that was like something that really destroyed many aspects of my life, and obviously many relationships with other people, like friendships and other relationships I had. Yeah, so I think this I'm just remembering all of this, and it really like brings up a lot of memories. And I'm glad that I went through all of these experiences and that I changed. And it is hard. It is very hard to try to change yourself. And that's why people say that, you know, you can never change other people, unless they want to change themselves, right? And it's also something that I heard recently in terms of setting like your goals or New Year's resolutions. You have to make sure they don't involve other people, because it is not a very good idea to set a goal like, I want my kids to always be healthy. Of course, I mean, if your kids are grown-ups and they have their own lives, you like, there's nothing you can do about that. Of course, if you have little kids and, you know, you're in control of everything they eat, their exercise routine and everything, of course you can do something about that. But if, like, oh, I want my partner to get this job and this is going to be my goal for 2024, it's a bad goal. You cannot control other people, and you cannot make sure that other people achieve their goals, because what if they just don't want to, and there's nothing you can do about that.
Yeah, so you should keep your goals within the sphere of things that you can control rather than things that you can just influence. With the streaks, I think like a lot of platforms and applications and stuff are like forcing these streaks upon us. I know Duolingo has been one of those applications that have been really focused on the streaks. And I think it's actually done really well for kind of the marketing or how much money they've made, because people, I've heard people saying like, "Oh, I've missed. I've got like 10 minutes to do my Duolingo. It's like 10 minutes to 12 or whatever, and they've got like a 300-day streak, and they don't actually, care about learning the language at this point. They're just trying to continue the streak going. And I use Quizlet. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's like a flashcard website and application, and they have streaks on there. chess.com has started like using streaks of like how many days you've visited the website, and it feels like we're just getting streaked out everywhere. So it's a bit yeah, it's a bit weird. But in terms of building habits and keeping streaks with that, because I like to keep a streak, like I've mentioned. Maybe I do need to change that. But there's two nice ways that you can make it a little bit easier or kinder on yourself. One I learned from Matt Diavella ages ago, where he does habit tracking, where he kind of has the box, like the X effect, I think it's called. Then you just kind of cross the box when you do a habit for a day. But he doesn't kind of have a rule that the chain is broke or the streak is broken if you miss one day. You can miss a day, but as long as you don't miss 2 days, the streak continues. So if you are feeling extra tired, extra busy, extra whatever, if you do have a genuine excuse, or maybe you don't, um, you can kind of forgive yourself and let the streak continue. And another way is just setting the minimum kind of standard. So I mentioned before with meditation, instead of setting kind of, I want to meditate every day for 10 minutes, you can set that goal for 1 minute. And if you do 1 minute, then you've kind of successfully completed the habit and the streak continues. Maybe you want to actually aim for 10 minutes, but a minimum kind of entry into kind of continuing that streak could be as low as possible. For example, reading 1 page a day. It's very unlikely that you're going to read 1 page unless you are really, really busy or you've got no time or you just don't want to that day. But yeah, it's a good way just to continue that habit going and maybe mentally and psychologically keep that streak going as well.
Hmm. I think for me, at one point, I just realized that it is a lot more important for me to feel happy and calm than worrying about all the streaks I had to keep up with. Because it gets overwhelming, as you said. Like, you have a lot of different apps sending you notifications, reminding you of your streaks. And that's why, for example, this year I decided I probably turned off all of my notifications. I only have like a few on because it's extremely overwhelming for me. And yeah, sometimes I just understand that, oh, I would like to maybe like read every day, or I would like to meditate every day, or do yoga every day, or do this and that, and this and that. And sometimes I just can't. And I wake up every single morning and I start thinking, okay, what do I have time for right now? Like, what do I feel like is gonna feel good if I do it right now? Maybe like I really feel kind of stiff in my body. So I feel like if I do yoga right now, it's going to help me a lot. Or maybe I feel very anxious right now. So let me meditate a little bit, or let me like journal. So I don't know. I feel like what helps me too is just kind of more getting in tune with my body and thinking about what do I feel like doing right now. Like, oh, I have these like 30 minutes or half an hour. What is more important for me to do, instead of trying to like jam everything, like all my habits that I'm tracking into this half an hour?
So you trust your intuition quite a lot, and because I think I'm quite inherently lazy, and if I have a spare half an hour and if one version of myself has some goals and some targets, and I'm like, okay, I've got these habits I want to continue, then maybe I'm more likely to think, okay, I can, do these things in that 30 minutes. But if I don't, and I'm kind of running off intuition, I'd be like, oh, okay, my phone, YouTube. 30 minutes goes by.
I think for me, it's just recently I realized that in the evening I feel like I don't have enough energy, and I don't feel like doing anything. And I started asking myself this question: okay, why? And it's probably because I've been working all day. So recently I started to try to implement this like working strategy that is hard to do for a lot of people. I understand it completely. But basically, what I'm trying to do right now is I try to work and then take a little break, and then work, take a little break, because when we work, we spend our energy. We feel tired, like by every minute goes by, and we feel more and more tired. And so after I've been working for, let's say, an hour or 2 hours, I try to do an activity that I know will going to restore my energy. So it doesn't have to take a very long time. uh, Obviously it's better if you like write down a list of all the activities that helps restore your energy. And it's something like this technique or something is what I learned in therapy. So basically, let's say for me, one of the things that somehow magically restores my energy is making matcha for myself from scratch. I think it's just this process of like whisking, and you have to heat up the milk, you have to whisk, you have to like use a special little tool. And all of this is like really, I like doing things with my hands a lot. So that's why this process really helps me like relax a little bit. And it takes me probably 10 minutes. But this 10-minute break of preparing matcha, drinking matcha calmly, really restores a lot of my energy. And after doing that, I can be like, okay, what do I have to do that is actually like important and I know, requires a lot of my energy? Let's say working on a new project or responding to emails. And I kind of started doing that with a very different like energy inside of me. Instead of being like, oh no, now I have to respond to emails, I'm like, oh, just drink my matcha, I feel great, let me respond to some emails.
Yeah, that's like the Pomodoro technique. I once watched a YouTube video on someone who had got devised this great Pomodoro technique because he just loved watching anime. So he would like he spent like 12 hours a day or something studying, but it was just like study block, anime episode, study block, anime episode, and he'd like cut out the introduction. So I don't know how long. Maybe a specific show that he was watching that wasn't that long. I don't think episodes are usually that long, but yeah, it was quite impressive. I'm sure the video is still up. So if you search on YouTube, Pomodoro anime, I'm sure it's still there. But I found it quite interesting because he was just so into it, and he just, yeah, it just made him like studying.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because I guess it's also like this carrot approach because now you're going to do something hard and then you will receive something that you like doing or something that restores your energy, like something that makes you feel good. And oftentimes we really have to ask ourselves this question: does scrolling on social media restore my energy? Because it does not. Absolutely no. And yeah, it's also that's why I don't want to do it right before I wake up or before going to bed, right after I wake up or right before going to bed. Because I know it's not restorative. It only makes me feel anxious because it's like also something that I heard while listening to Mel Robbins. She said that it's like imagining all the people you look at, like you're in your bed, you just woke up, you open your phone, and all these messages from all these people are actually in your bedroom right now. They're standing there and they're saying all of these things to you that you're reading. Like you're watching all these videos that they just made, and they're here in your bedroom, like all over the place. Ugh, it just doesn't feel good at all.
Yeah, luckily that not many people text me, so it maybe just be my girlfriend, which I wouldn't mind. But I suppose yeah, you get comments on YouTube videos and stuff, so that would be a lot of people in your bedroom saying things to you. I think you just have to pull the duvet on and tell them to go away.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think it's like your work emails or, for example, like social media, right? It's not necessarily like actual messages, but social media and random people, just like on TikTok, Instagram, just random people, random videos you're watching. Just imagine all of these people being in your room. That's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, that's a scary thought. So, what are your resolutions for 2024 then? So, you've mentioned continuing your Spanish learning process and progress. You've mentioned not going on your phone first thing in the morning and also maybe late at night or just before bed. Anything else?
Yeah, one of the things, I guess it's like a new goal for me, a completely new thing that I want to start doing. So I kind of mentioned that I want to stop using my phone right after I wake up. I want to continue learning English and Spanish, and I want to start learning the American Sign Language. I already started actually. Yeah, a few weeks ago, I had my first class. So I already know the whole alphabet, how to sign the whole alphabet. I know how to sign numbers from 0 to 10. I know how to sign my name is Veronica and then the name Veronica. So it's really fun. I really like it. It's something because, again, there's something about using my hands that really calms me down. when I practice sign language, it's such a calming experience for me because I don't have to speak, obviously. I just use my hands, and it's just feels so good.
Is it? You said American Sign Language. Is that kind of different? I don't know much about sign language at all, but is American Sign Language different than British Sign Language?
They are very different. Yeah, there are some sign languages that are pretty similar. From what my teacher told me, he said that if I, let's say, go to Colombia or Peru and I start to sign using the American Sign Language, I will be able to understand maybe 60%, 70%. So it's pretty good. But if we compare the American Sign Language and the British Sign Language, I will not be able to understand like 95% of the information. Yeah, he said that he was once on a plane and there was a person signing, and he could only understand one sign every minute.
What? You'd think that they would make them all the same, just so you know, people can communicate with people from different countries and stuff. But that's weird. Do you know why, or is it just that's how it's naturally developed?
I don't know why. I need to look it up. But it's interesting, especially in terms of the American Sign Language and the British Sign Language. Like the actual language, English, is the same. So why would you, like the way they sign the alphabet, for example, A, B, C, D, is completely different. Like, why would you change it? It's the same letter. Why would you like come up with a different sign? It's very interesting.
Yeah, that's annoying. Who designed that?
Yeah. So what about you? What about the things you want to stop doing, continue doing, and start doing?
Okay, so continue. I want to continue exercising, like I said. I'd also like to continue focusing on my business. I've set some financial goals, which I'm pretty excited to do. I'm very excited to move into my new office and kind of conduct myself from there. I think that'll be a next step in the process of being a business owner. Then, what I like to stop doing? Hmm. Well, I've set myself a goal of not drinking any alcohol for the first 3 months of the year. People call it dry January in the UK, where they don't drink alcohol for the whole of January. I'm doing dry Q1, so the first 3 months of the year. I did it last year, apart from one day where one of my friends was having a housewarming party at the start of February, so I did drink then. But I think after that, I went until at least April. So that's my goal again. Hopefully, I can do the whole 90 days or 90 odd days this year. So that's one thing I want to stop doing. That's obviously not for the whole year, but I think that will set me up in a good place for spring in terms of my health and motivation and stuff. What I'd like to start doing, I'd like to start meditating again properly. I know I mentioned that in our episode we did on goals, actually, but you also mentioned not going on your phone in the morning. So
Yep, I'm still working on it. It's still very hard for me. It's been like 2 months already. It's very hard.
yeah, so I'd like to start meditating again daily, but like I said, I should have a bit more routine in terms of where I'm at. So I should be able to make that a bit easier. Now I'll be going to an office every single day because I'll just do it as soon as I kind of get through the door, or I'll pick a time. What else would I like to do? I'd like to read more books. To be honest, I used to read quite a lot, but I didn't actually read that much last year. I don't know why. I read the book Think and Grow Rich, and then I read it again because it said to read the book again, and I was like, okay, I'll do that. And then and then I joined a book club with some of my friends. They had the idea of starting a book club, and the first book we um, someone chose in the group was A Clockwork Orange. I don't know if you've heard of this book. It's also a film, and it's a really weird book because it's basically about teenagers committing a lot of crime and kind of they're rampant. They're like being ultra violent at nighttime, and the police, and you're kind of following this teenager, and they have their own language, which is called Nadsat, which is actually kind of linked to the Russian language. And in every single sentence, there's at least one like Nadsat word, and at the end of the book, there's a little glossary of what these words mean. And we started reading it, and I was like, oh no, I knew my friends weren't going to kind of really like it, or because it's going to be a lot of effort. It's like kind of reading a new language, essentially. And it's taken me forever to read it. And we actually abandoned that book because everyone just gave up after like a few chapters. They said, this is too hard. I have no idea what's going on. I'm having to flick to the glossary every page. So we've given up on that and we need to choose a new book. So, but I've continued it. I've almost finished it. It's a very weird book. I do recommend it, but very odd. I'm looking forward to watching the film. But yeah, that's one of them, is to read more books again. I think I think I can do that by not going on my phone as much in the evening, which would be kind of killing two birds with one stone, because I, like you, don't want to go on my phone first thing in the morning, and also kind of late at night. So if I get into a good habit with my girlfriend of turning our phones off at 10 o'clock and spending from 10 till 11 reading, I think I can do both of those things in one. And I don't want to overwhelm myself, so I think I'll leave it at that. But I haven't really properly thought about it because I've been ill, and I need to kind of maybe spend this weekend thinking about what I really concretely want to do. But I think there's some kind of general or vague ideas.
Nice. Well, I really hope we'll be able to achieve all of our goals and New Year's resolutions. It's always fun to look back and see, like, okay, I set this goal. How did I do? And I really hope everyone listening to this show or watching it will also achieve every single one of your goals, because it's really fun. It's fun to feel like you have accomplished something, something that you really wanted to. So, yeah, thank you so much for listening and watching.
Yeah, we've said them on the internet now, so we're going to have to do them, otherwise people are going to find out. But yeah, thank you everyone for listening. If you do have any New Year's resolutions, we'd be very curious to hear what they are, so write them down in the comments. And yeah, thank you all for listening, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Bye.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Bridging Borders. If you enjoyed the conversation, be sure to subscribe to the podcast for more useful insights.
Stay connected by following us on social media. You can find us at bridging_borders_podcast. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep connecting.